This is part one of a series testing the OBSBOT Tail 2. Let's see if this can become the best option for your live streaming needs. I'm Jason Hoffman. My goal is to help you have the confidence to just press go live. So the OBSBOT Tail 2, a form factor with a PTZ and rotating lens, so pan, tilt, zoom plus rotate inside that lens. We're going to have lots of connectivity features here on the back, but the most important thing is it's got a 1 over 1.5 inch sensor and a 5 times optical zoom. 8-hour battery life. Now that optical zoom then turns into a 12 times what they call a hybrid zoom. And there's some odd math to get from 5 to 12. There was actually a person in one of my comments who explained the math from 5 to 12 times according to what they can find in OBSBOT's documentation, but it went right there. So you can look at it and see what you think about it. I will tell you that in the software you do have the ability to turn off the hybrid part. So you can just have the optical zoom and not worry about any digital zoom if that's what you want to do. And for one of these tests, I did do that. The aperture on it is f1.8 to f3.0. So on a talking head video like this, we're going to get a good depth of field if that's something that we're looking for. What we saw there on the back included an SDI port, an HDMI port, a full-size RJ45 jack. We're going to have data in through USB-C, but also charging in a separate port through USB-C. I should have said data in and out, and that one USB-C. We're going to have a Wi-Fi 6 connection there. We have Bluetooth Low Energy 5.4, mic in and line in. And you can use your control device's microphone through the software if you'd like audio to run that way in the app. So we tested this camera. Test number 1 was indoors. Now we're testing these for difficult lighting scenarios. And what I'm looking at is artificial light versus natural light, or a combination of the two. We're also looking at sunlight into stadium light. And so many times sports streamers will start a game. If you're streaming something outdoors, you'll start a game when the sun's still in the sky, and you won't finish that game until the stadium lights are on and the sky's completely black. And we want to test to see how the OBSBOT Tail 2 handles that kind of difficult lighting scenario. Now we're also looking at distance in this test, and like I've already told you, I kept hybrid zoom turned off for the indoor test. I did, though, turn it back on for both of my outdoor tests. So let's consider the indoor test. It was a lunchtime school meeting. It was indoors with both overhead lighting and natural lighting coming in through the windows and through the full glass door, which, for the way we had to set up this room, provided for some pretty serious backlighting that the OBSBOT Tail 2 handled really well. The combination of the LED tubes in the ceiling and the natural light can wreak havoc for a lot of cameras considering their white balance. I will say, OBSBOT Tail 2 handled this remarkably well. We left high dynamic range turned off. HDR was turned off for all the tests, but the indoor test is one we're talking about now. The exposure was set to auto, as well as the white balance being set to auto. And as far as the presets go that are built into the software, we left the preset on standard, and your two options there are really standard and outdoor, or you can customize it and you have full control over all the pieces, but the presets are standard and outdoor, and for this indoor one we used the standard one. I can tell you, having been the one who ran this setup, skin tones, wall color, clothes, all were true to life. The color duplication, the color replication was spot on with the standard preset with all of our settings set to auto. The windows and doors blew out a little bit, and I did try turning HDR on for just a moment just to see what it would do. It didn't help, so we left it turned off. I will say that as far as focus goes, I used global focus. This was a meeting with a lot of faces in view, and I didn't want it focusing on the faces closer to me and then having what I'm actually trying to film, trying to record, be out of focus because it was a little bit further away. So we used global focus, and that allowed everything to be pretty well in focus. We weren't oftentimes zooming in on just the speaker. Most of the time we had a shot that was pulled out for everyone. I left the hybrid zoom turned off, and the recordings, I can say, were clear, and the school was very satisfied with the product that we gave them. Test 2 was a football game, beginning with the sun up and ending with the sun down and stadium lights being on. Exposure and white balance, again, were tested from sun in the sky natural light to stadium lighting, all in one stream. No adjustments being made on exposure and white balance. And here's where we started. The little bit of cloud cover did change what I thought I would see. I was expecting that sun over my shoulder, behind me, shining on the field, shining on the players. And there was just enough cloud cover to mute that a little bit, but there was plenty of ambient lighting that was strong. This time of year, lighting, the outdoor lighting seems to change really rapidly at that time of day. And we got a beautiful sunset out of the deal. When the stadium lights had taken over, we were still streaming, and it was a beautiful shot. Again, we used the outdoor preset. There was one moment when the sun peeked through the clouds, setting sun peeking through the clouds, and it gave a hot spot on the stands that were across the field from me. But the sensor in the camera handled that very well. It did not over adjust to seeing that hot spot in its view, and it continued to keep the players very well lit, very well exposed. And once again, global focus instead of face focus for streaming sports, because you don't want the players on the sideline to take the focus when you're trying to stream or record the things that are on the field. Had a really good test out of this one, going from sun up to sundown. And then test number 3 was also under the stadium lights. And on this one, we tried to test the distance shooting of the OBSBOT Tail 2 with a 12 times total zoom, 5 times optical. The rest would be a digital zoom. We pushed into the scoreboard with one of our cameras and kind of left a static shot there. I used it picture-in-picture a few times, and I used it as a timeout or quarter change shot that I could show folks what the score, what the time in the game was. And from the press box to the scoreboard, we were at about 100 yards. Google Maps verifies this. We got a great view at 10 times zoom. I didn't have to push all the way to 12. I could have, and I did for a moment. I don't know that I caught it on the recording, but I did push to 12 just to see. Left it at 10 most of the time because it filled up the screen very well. I did have to tap on the screen and pull down. By the way, that acts just like it does on your iPhone camera. Tap on the screen and then drag your finger down, and that will lower the exposure. The numbers on the scoreboard would blow out if I didn't. And so zooming into the scoreboard and then tapping on the screen and dropping the exposure just a little bit is what kept me with a good view of the scoreboard. While some cameras will blow out a white helmet under stadium lighting, the OBSBOT Tail 2 handled the black referee uniforms and the white in the player uniforms and their helmets beautifully. Very clear shot, very clear stream. All the settings were the same as the previous test, and the results were, in fact, excellent. With the exception of the scoreboard clock, we were able to let the auto camera settings handle the changing lighting needs in these 3 tests. Overall, the OBSBOT Tail 2 is proving to be an excellent choice for your live streaming needs.